Oregon Ducks just escaped Happy Valley. Now, let's just jump in here. I'm not going to make this totally long. Guys, people were watching and waiting for this game pretty much at the beginning of the season because Penn State doesn't have a great schedule. Oregon has played a couple decent ones, but they ran Oregon State in their Civil War. They destroyed Oklahoma State at home. And so this was Dan Lanning's first big test, flying 3,500 miles to State College, and Oregon wins this game 30-24 in double overtime. And first off, before we even get into all the major things and craziness that all the I don't want to say trolls as I'm trying to be nice, but there's a lot of people on Facebook that I know that have already said, like, well, I won more money because Penn State can't beat a top 6 team, and I'm happy because it's the gift that keeps on giving. I keep winning more money, and Drew Aller is not an NFL quarterback. James Franklin can't win the big one. Let's just go into stats. First of all, I said this on Facebook. I thought the game was over at 17-3. And that fumble that Penn State recovered should have stayed. And you look at the replay, that is the most nitpicky. The knee grazed the grass, and that's why Oregon got the ball back. 2 plays later, they're in the end zone. You figure, oh, it's bound to happen. Penn State's they're not coming back from this. Dominated time possession, like 33 minutes to 26. They could not stop a freshman running back. Literally, Dare Hill, 10 carries, 82 yards. Noah Whittington, he had some. Dante Moore is an absolute stud. I'm just double checking on him I'm double checking on Dante Moore real quick. He's a sophomore, so I don't know if he'll play another year, but I think he transferred somewhere. I can't remember where he came from, but he comes to Oregon, and he's just going to take this offense. But you got to give, Oregon has better players. Penn State may have had a lot of people come back, and that's why a lot of the hype for Penn State was starting to pick up all off season, and everyone's already penciling Texas Penn State for the national title. You have to keep your eye on Oregon, and Oregon couldn't beat an Ohio State team, and Ohio State gets 5, 6, 7-star athletes out of their back pocket. Oregon's got Nike in their backyard, and they're starting to get athletes, and they have better athletes than Penn State had. And Penn State had a lot of players come back. Dante Moore is an absolute beast. 3 touchdowns, 29-39. Drew Aller did not have a great game until he started picking it up in the second half. Drew Aller was 14-25, $137, 2 touchdowns. That last interception, you can get on for James. Let's just put it this way: you can bark about Drew Aller that he's not an NFL project quarterback with that throw, or you can get on James Franklin for the play call. You had chances to win. You scored a touchdown, but you let Oregon come back, score in overtime, and you let Oregon score 1 play into the second frame. Drew Aller needed to make a play. He needed to make a throw, and it was a good throw. It was caught by an athlete who leaped up in the air and snagged it. What are you going to say? You're gonna sit there and all the internet buffoons are going to go on, and maybe everyone's going to jump on my case because I'm a Penn State homer. James Franklin had a bad call, and James Franklin has had bad calls. He's played Ohio State. He's had a 4th and 2, and he runs it. There's many things that he's had bad things. The running game for Penn State picked it up in the second half. Katron Allen, Singleton, they started picking it up a little bit. Overall, Penn State had over 100 yards, but overall, Oregon had. Penn State's defense is good. They just could not stop a freshman running back. And just a couple passes Dante Moore does, that just shows how good of an athlete he is, and the poise and presence. And the one defender who could have sacked him, he just steps inside and throws another dart. Dante Moore is a stud. I say it again. So, like I said, Oregon has better players and better athletes, and I don't want to hear this thing where, well, as soon as Penn State signs and changes over to Adidas, everyone's going to start getting that NIL money. Here's the thing. Penn State was down to 17-3. They could not move the football. This game was over. And Drew Aller throws a Russell Wilson moon ball, a beautiful moon ball to Devontae Ross. And he had the other touchdown running. And, you know, they get a couple plays. They make a stop. They get a kick. And 15 plays later, which is kind of the way they had to try to tackle this defense of Oregon, which also has studs all over the place. You got to give Penn State credit. I'm not saying it again just because I'm a Penn State homer and I'm a Penn State fan. Penn State was very, very, I've never seen that team so resilient. This team could have packed it in at 17-3, and it was enough for Dan Lanning to get in the plane and fly back to Eugene. Penn State was very, very resilient. They made some play calls, some gutsy ones, made some fourth downs, drained the clock, got it to 17-17 on some great calls. And when you go to overtime, and I'll acknowledge on this channel, and I'm not the only one too, I despise college football's overtime. I can't stand it. I honestly can't stand it. There's times it goes to 10 overtimes, and it's ridiculous. Once it goes to overtime, it's anybody's game. But it depends also on, can you hold your defense? Penn State scored, and now you had to hold Oregon, and they just made a couple more plays to get in, and it was even on the student section. What in the world are you going to do? Oregon's faced loud places before. Oregon is going to be in that national title picture no matter what. No matter what. Because they have dudes. Penn State, yeah, 0-1 Big Ten. Big deal. You were resilient and you played your arses off, and you pick yourself up, you fly it out to the Rose Bowl and play UCLA and get back on that horse. And UCLA football is a hot mess right now. So I'm not going to sit here and bargain. Am I sad they lost? When I saw the interception, I'm like, it was a good throw. Could have been a little bit higher, but an athlete made that play. Penn State has them, but they needed that in the first half. But that first half was a chess match. I mean, people were expected, like, just what it was in the Big Ten title game. Like, they wanted 50-40. They wanted that game. That first half was a chess match the whole way. And then everything, when your adjustments happen in the second half, it depends on the demographic of how you have to, I don't have much. I'm speaking out of tune. It just depends on the atmosphere of, can you move the football? And Penn State couldn't move it, and Oregon drove down. And I still think that fumble was that takeaway should have been Penn State's. That tiny little microscopic HD camera of his knee grazed the grass. That's why the fumble was overturned. And just like that, they score. You don't want that crap to happen. So it is what it is. Penn State takes a loss at home in a whiteout. It's happened before. Ohio State's punched them in the mouth in a whiteout. Miami's done it, or a couple other teams have done it. They lost their first ever whiteout. Purdue beat them in their first whiteout. So I really shouldn't even. I mean, do you want to bark about James Franklin can't win a big game? He got this team back. So yeah, you can bark about it's still a loss. Drew Aller can't do well. He's got to fly 3,500 miles to go to Pasadena to play UCLA, who is, like I said, they are a dumpster fire right now as far as a football program. But they'll get this back, and they need to. They've got a couple games that they can get themselves back before they get Ohio State and Indiana. They're no jokes. We know Ohio State is, a juggernaut. Oregon's going to be around. We'll probably, or Penn State, they will see Oregon again. It may not be in Indianapolis, but we'll see them again down the road. It very well may be in the playoff. So I'm not going to sit here and blab about it. I've already gone enough time than I needed to. So, guys, go to sleep. Things are going to be fine. You don't want to say it's a good loss, but Penn State was resilient to come back in this game against an elite organization in Oregon. Oregon could very well win the whole thing. But Penn State, give them credit. They were resilient to make this a game. Bars closed. See you in the next one.